Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new League of Legends video. So for today's video, I wanted to do something a little bit different than I usually do and talk about the early PBE stages. Because as I'm sure you know, the live server just recently got updated, so in turn, the PBE server also just recently got updated with patch 7.4 that will be coming in about 2 weeks. But there are some very interesting changes, some of them are actually quite damn big that I wanted to discuss with you guys about, some of them also affecting the champions that I play. So if this is a type of video that you will enjoy, then let me know by simply hitting that like button. But let's not waste too much more time and get right into the first change that I want to talk about, which is going to be to Blade of the Ruined King. So this is a very solid item on champions like Zed, champions like Aurelia, even maybe some ADCs like Ezreal, maybe even Corki in certain instances. And all in all, Blade of the Ruined King is a staple item. However, Riot is essentially just flat out changing the way it works. So first we have the very basic information where the AD has been increased from 25 to actually 45, which is quite good. However, the attack speed has been lowered by 15%, the lifesteal has been increased by 5%, the minimum damage on hit has been increased from 10 to 15, but here's where things get a little bit wonky. The active effect of Blade of the Ruined King, probably one of the main reasons you would ever even want to buy this item because of how useful it is, slowing the opponent, giving you movement speed, giving you life back, dealing a lot of damage. Well, now you can pretty much scrap all that because the active effect now only is just slows. It doesn't do damage, it doesn't heal you whatsoever, so essentially the part that deals 10% of the target's maximum health as physical damage and heals you for that same amount is flat out removed. Now this was, in my opinion, the best reason as to why you would ever want to get Blade of the Ruined King. This active effect was gorgeous. It would offer you so much potential to actually do what you want to do. The slow effect was absolutely useful, but the part that deals the damage and also gives you back HP was it's just so damn useful. Now the part that's also a little bit weird is the fact that apparently it still will cost you 3,400 gold. So even with it being nerfed to this point where its active effect is arguably almost kind of useless now, it still costs you the same amount of gold, which is very strange. Now there are some posts from writers stating that, well, for Blade of the Ruined King, they're actually looking into maybe new things that they can implement into the active effect that will replace what it used to do, or I guess what it currently does on the live servers, dealing damage and giving you back HP. Now according to Riot, they're doing these changes to Blade of the Ruined King because they want the item not only to fit more into on-hit focused builds, but they also want this item to be more tempting to buy at the earlier stages of the game, hence the change from lowering the attack speed, but in turn increasing the on-hit damage and also increasing just the flat amount of AD it offers. So let me know down below in the comments what you think about these changes happening to BorK and what you think the active effect should be on the item itself, and also whether or not you still think the item should cost you 3,400 gold, assuming that there is no extra new active effect added and it only just slows, which feels very lackluster. But following the changes happening to Blade of the Ruined King, there are also some changes happening to Black Cleaver. Now Black Cleaver has been one of the most staple items in League of Legends, and apparently it is among the most bought items in the game, period. But this really isn't all that of a surprise. I mean, the item is a fairly cheap one. It offers you tankiness, it offers you AD, it offers you armor shred, it offers that for the whole team technically, and it also offers you movement speed, and it also offers you 20% CDR. So they're further nerfing the item to make it fit a specific kind of niche in League of Legends rather than almost every single damn champion in the game that can do any form of kind of AD armor shred sort of damage will want to buy it. So the changes to this item are as follows. The health has been increased from 300 to 400, again giving it sort of that more bruisey feel. The attack damage has been lowered by 10, and the build path has been changed to a phage plus a kindle gem rather than a phage plus a Caulfield's. And just to sort of rub it in your face, the total cost has been lowered by just 50 gold. Now this is definitely going to be kind of a big hit to Black Cleaver just because of, well, I mean, it's a pretty damn OP item at the moment, and they just wanted to fit a very specific type of champion pool rather than just a bunch of champions all together grabbing it. But then again, I still think champions like Zed, champions even like Misfortune will still most likely buy this item. I mean, it's only losing 10 AD, but getting 100 extra HP, that's actually somewhat of a worthy trade-off in my honest opinion. So even though they're trying to nerf it down and trying to make it sort of more focused on specific types of classes, I don't think this will do the best job at that. But according to the writer post here on this Reddit thread, you can see that they're also nerfing lethality on Youmuu's, which has been lowered by 5 actually, and they're also possibly nerfing Edge of Night's active, even though it actually just recently got buffed. It's almost as if Riot is finally realizing that this whole armor shred, whether it's percent armor or lethality, is just getting a little bit out of hand because every single damn champion that deals any form of AD damage is pretty much building them now. So I'm very curious to see what exactly they do here. But moving along to the next really big change happening in patch 5.4 currently on the PBE server is going to be the one happening to Maokai. Currently, Maokai is arguably one of the best tank top laners in the entire game, along with Nautilus, because not only do they bring a lot of CC to the kits, they bring completely just amazing engage for the team, they have that great AoE control with the ultimates, and he's just very, very hard to kill. Well, first things first, his Q ability is getting its mana cost increased. Rather than being 45 at every rank, well, it'll only start at 45 and go up by 5 every single rank. But the big change happening is going to be to his sapling toss, his E ability. Now currently when you throw the sapling, it does initial damage when it lands, and then it chases the target, which does further damage. Well, what do you know? The initial impact damage is just flat out removed. It no longer does any damage when you throw it and it lands. It now only does damage if it chases the target and actually makes contact. So in other words, Maokai is pretty much losing about a third of the power on his E ability. Just a third of the damage is flat out removed. Gone and never seen again. Now I'll be honest, as someone that doesn't necessarily play that much top lane and someone that doesn't like to deal with these tanky type champions, this is great news to me. But if you're a Maokai player, then this is gonna be not something you'll be very happy about, because again, you are pretty much losing about a third of your damage on your E ability, which is gonna be your main form of harass and trade potential in the laning phase, and it's a pretty big deal. You can almost even go as far as to say as that Maokai, this patch is officially getting fucked. Now this is definitely something that I want to hear your opinion about down in the comments below. Do you think that they're going a little bit overboard with the changes happening to Maokai? Is this a little bit too much? Maybe they're targeting the wrong area? What do you think? Again, let me know down in the comments below. Now another very quick thing I want to discuss is somewhat of a rework happening to Cho'gath. Now I'm sure some of you have already heard about this in the previous PvE patch, but it got removed and it got replaced again in this current PvE patch instead. But essentially Cho'gath is receiving some very big changes, the first of which being his E ability now has a new max rank at 10 stacks and also a new max size. But the biggest thing is his feast, because now his feast makes him much larger of a champion. So first and foremost, his ultimate still does true damage, but instead now it scales off of his bonus health rather than scaling off of his bonus AP. But what's interesting about his ultimate now is the fact that he can have more than 6 stacks, and the size growth will actually cap at 10 stacks. But now his size is not only just much larger, this synergizes with his new E ability, but he no longer loses his stacks, half of them upon death. He no longer gets 2 stacks from a champion kill, and kills on minions and monsters no longer refund 50% of the cooldown and cost. So these are definitely some very cool changes happening to Cho'gath, truly making him feel like this big monster from the void, but at the same time, it also begs the question, is AP Cho'gath dead? Is that even a thing anymore? Because now his ultimate, again, no longer scales off of AP, instead scales off of HP. Personally, I feel like if you really want to, you can probably still play AP Cho'gath, though it doesn't seem it'll be as effective, because now playing tank Cho'gath with maybe a bit of AP, so for instance Rod of Ages, maybe a Rylai's Crystal Scepter, and then just actual tank items, could be the most beneficial and the wisest way to play him, again, since his ultimate has that really cool now HP scaling passive. But enough talking about champions, because there are also some very big changes happening over in the mastery trees, specifically the ferocity and the cunning tree, and even more specifically the ones that offer you more damage. For instance, in tier 4 of ferocity, bounty hunter, the one that increases your damage for every unique champion you've killed, well, it's been lowered from 1.5% all the way down to 1%, so it can only go up to a maximum of 5% increased damage, rather than obviously the old one giving you a potential total of 7.5. Following this, double-edged sword, which is the one that increases your damage but makes the damage you take even higher, has been changed from rather than giving you 5% increased damage and 2.5 additional damage taken to 3% damage increase, but taking 1.5% additional damage instead. Now the reason according to Riot that they're doing all of this, all these kind of damage amplification masteries, is the fact that they feel like these masteries have been kind of a little bit too impactful as the game has progressed and the game and the meta has changed. So they want to sort of do these under the hood changes or nerfs, not necessarily something that's going to affect a very small amount of champions, but something that will affect a large amounts of champions, because even tanks will also take these masteries because it just works on them fantastically, and honestly sometimes it makes them do a little bit more damage than they probably should. But continuing on, battle trance also has been lowered its effect from 5% over 5 seconds to 3% over 3 seconds. I do not mind the battle trance nerf all that much, because now it only takes 3 seconds to reach its maximum potency rather than waiting 5 seconds. I mean, sure, you're getting less of it, but you're also not having to waste as much time to get the full effect. Following this, they're also touching a couple of things in the cunning tree, specifically in tier 3, Merciless. The one that almost every single damn champion takes because it's so damn useful. Well, now instead of dealing 5% extra damage to champions below 40% HP, it's only gonna be 3. Now this one's somewhat of a decent hit, and I understand why they're doing it. I mean, they want tanks to not really have to be doing this much damage for absolutely no reason. But at the same time, it will also affect the champions that actually want to make use of this properly in the way that they should. So it's kind of like a give and take, which kind of sucks for the champions that I personally like to play, but it's also good to slowly bring down the tank meta and not make them deal just this abundance of damage. And the final nerf in the masteries is going to be meditation, where the effect has been lowered from 1.5% at rank 5 to 1.25%. Not the biggest thing in the entire world, so there's not much else to say. But either way, guys, I mean, that is about it for this video. There you have it, some very big changes, especially happening to Blade of the Ruined King, even Black Cleaver, and also we have some changes happening to Youmuu's, we have some changes happening to potentially Edge of Night, and also Maokai is getting the piece of blank stick. I mean, he's getting hit pretty damn hard. Again, please let me know if you enjoyed this type of video by hitting that like button, and if you want me to continue doing these sort of very early analysis and patch rundowns of the fresh new patches that hit the PvE server. Make sure to share this with your friends so everyone else knows exactly what's happening to all of these champions and items. But I thank all of you so much for watching, and I hope to see you for my next video. Peace.